Hello from National Geographic Education. My name is Vivette Dukes, and this is Explorer Classroom. At National Geographic, we use the power of science, exploration, education, and storytelling to illuminate and protect the wonder of our world. Explorer Classroom connects students worldwide with our National Geographic Explorers Classroom. Oh, it's so wonderful. We connect students worldwide with National Geographic Explorers for short lessons and time for your questions. This school year, each month will be organized around a specific theme. This October, Explorer Classroom will be exploring the importance of water conservation. Today, our explorer is Jens Benöhr. Jens comes from Chile, a country in South America. He loves to steer a kayak while working as an anthropologist. This means that he studies how people live in the past and today, with special attention to how people interact with rivers. Jens has loved rivers since he was little, probably the age of many of our viewers. He would walk out of his home to the Biobio River, where he learned how to whitewater kayak and study how people protect or harm the rivers they live near. Jens loves rivers and considers one of them part of his family. And he also wants to help communities like yours and like mine protect rivers. So he is here today to share how we can conserve river water wherever we live. Before we get into today's lesson, I'd like to welcome our registered viewers who join us from around the globe. Special shout outs for today go to Crestview Prep in California. Hello. Felida Elementary in Washington. Hi there. Evergreen Elementary in Pennsylvania. Hello, Evergreen. Road Elementary in Canada, our neighbors, and all of our home schools out there. We're thrilled to have all of you here with us. And with that, let's get this Explorer Classroom started. Yay! It's time to turn it over to Jens to share all about river ecology. Take it away, Jens.
Thank you, Vivette. Hey, kiddos, what's up? How you doing? Hey, I love your tiny, tiny chairs. They are so colorful and wonderful. Thanks for being here. I will now share my screen. So give me just 1 sec. And let me know if you can see this. Can you see this? Super cool. So welcome you all to our class. Thanks for being here and for the opportunity on sharing and talking about the wonderful world of rivers. So the presentation topic is Rivers Are Alive. I won't explain you that. You may discover for yourself throughout the presentation and after the presentation with your questions. What do I mean with this? But let's get started. So first, I will tell you what we're going to learn today. I will explain you a bit about where I live, where I come from, and what I do here. And we will talk about what is a river, and also the different river shapes that are so important to understand rivers, and also who lives in the river with us, the river neighborhood. And of course, the humans and the relationship we have with the different rivers all around the world. And I will tell you a bit about the Home River Biopics, which is a citizen science event that you all are invited to, that we organize with friends to protect rivers all around the world. So let's get started with this. First, I would love to hear where you are from. Where are you based now? Your city maybe, which is your nearest river, or maybe a lake, or maybe you live by the ocean. So feel free to shout out or write down in the chat. I want to hear or see all your places. Maryland, Albuquerque, Rio Grande. Ooh, I see people. Wow, I see people from Alaska, some people from Antarctica here. There are people from islands, Rapa Nui. I see people from Mars, Jupiter. Wow, people from the moon. Oh my God, we have so many viewers. Hey, welcome you all. And wow, of course, my favorites are the Earth kids. I love people that live in the Earth. It's not only home for humans. Those in Mars may be have another shape. So welcome you all here. I'm happy to see. Wow, near the Russian River in Northern California, Miss Dalton, 5th grade. That's so nice. I'm happy to have the honor to be here and represent my own river. I come from Chile, like Vivette said. I come from a country that is one of the nearest country to the Antarctica, to the South Pole. So we live at the southernmost part of the world, at the tip of the world, at the end of the world, so to say. And you may see in the picture my country highlighted in red. So we are a really long strip and we live by the Pacific Ocean. So at one side of my country, we have a long ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and on the other side, we have the Andes Mountains, which are huge mountains. And in those mountains, it's my home river. I actually live in front of the home river. The picture you see is up in the mountains. That's where the river starts flowing, and the river is called the Biobio River. And the picture behind me, this background, is actually where I live. I live in front of the river, at the end of the river, where almost touches the Pacific Ocean. That's where I live. And also, normally, I will do this from the river, like I did some days ago, but it's raining so much. That's good for the plants. So I have this beautiful picture of the river behind me. And this Biobio River has another name, which is Futaleufu, or in the native Pehuenche people that are the local indigenous culture that lives here since 1,000 years ago, that people have a name for this river, which is called the Futaleufu, which means the big river of the earth. And the Futaleufu, or the Biobio River, the way I know it, has another sibling which lives up in the sky, and it's called the Wenu Leufu, and that's the sacred river of the sky, or the Milky Way. So my river has a sibling, and that river is in the sky, and that's the Milky Way. This river is sacred for the Pehuenche people, and I would like to honor also that this river is more than just a river. It's part of their cosmovision, of their understanding of the world, and they consider it as also a parent, sometimes a sibling of them, and that's important to acknowledge and honor. So let's get started with the key question. What is a river? Does somebody know which river is in this picture? Is it a river, or is this a lake, or is this an ocean? Let me know. Write it down in the chat, or just shout out your answer. It's a river. Yeah. Yeah, some of you were right. Actually, yes, this is the Colorado River, and this is the Great Canyon. And what makes a river a river? I would like to hear you all. So what makes a river a river? Just shout out, write down your question in the chat. Don't worry. All answers are good. Yeah, exactly that. You are right. Water is so important for rivers, but we have also lakes. So what's different between a river and a lake? Yes, and that is that the river is flowing water, and that leads to the oceans. Or maybe sometimes rivers are flowing water, moving water that comes into a lake. But the key difference between the lake or a wetland or a river is that the river is flowing water, and it's full of fresh water that we humans and other species drink, and we need that to live. So it's very important also for humans. So now I will explain you a bit more on how the river parts are named. So we have a river, which is flowing water, and that river starts up somewhere in the mountains, normally, somewhere up where the water comes together, and forms creeks, streams, tiny streams that come together. And then we have a bigger and bigger and bigger river. The most water it comes in, the bigger it gets. And that every one of these creeks that feeds a river is called a tributary. And they all together conform the river system. And then when you talk about river system, we call that a watershed or a basin. Have you heard that word? I see some of you know the word. A watershed is a very important word because we all live in a watershed. Even if your city looks flat, it's part of a watershed because the forest, also the wetlands and lake systems are all part of watersheds, of river systems where water comes in and out of lakes, through streams and creeks. So it's all an interconnected system. And the upper part of this is normally called the headwater. And that is where springs bubbles up, the water bubbles up, or the snow melts, or the rainfall makes these creeks full of water. It fills them with water, and then all of this water comes together, forming the river, and then it flows through valleys and canyons and comes to the ocean in the mouth. The mouth is where the river gives its water full of sediments and nutrients to the ocean. So that's the way a river is composed. It has headwaters, it has a mouth, has valleys, and also all of this is part of what we call a watershed or a basin. Do you know this river? So just shout out the answer. I know maybe some of you live actually by this river. And yes, you were right. This is the Hudson River. This is the Hudson River by New York, at the mouth of the Hudson River. This is called an estuary when the river enters the ocean. And this is where two kinds of water, fresh water and salty water, get mixed together. And we call that brackish waters. And it's very important to understand this. When two ecosystems come together, for example, a river into the ocean, that means we have more biodiversity. And this is called an ecotone. Two or more ecosystems coming together are very important for biodiversity. It's the same, for example, with a forest and a river. The place between the forest and the river has the highest biodiversity, and that's very important to understand. And this is my own story. That's the one I have here at my background, and it's actually 10 kilometers from where I'm at this very moment. This is the mouth of the Biobio River, and here are the brackish water of my own river. So now we will have a little game, and that's related to the river shapes. I will tell you 3 river shapes, which are the straight channel, the meandering channel, and the braided channel. Just for you to understand the difference between them, straight is quite easy. It's a straight channel. The meandering channel is like a big snake that makes curve after curve. And the braided channel is when you have like many snakes coming together and they all look like they are coming in and out. So it's like many meandering rivers coming together. Normally, the straight channel is short, and you see that in the mountains, in canyons. The meandering is more when the river is a bit bigger, it brings more water, and it's slower. And the braided channel is when you have the river also in the mountains, and it's flowing between gravel and silt, and it's really torrentful. So let's get started with the game. First, is this a straight channel river, a meandering river, or a braided river? Feel free to shout out the answer or write down in the chat. What do you think? This is the Tagliamento River, up in the mountains, near the Alps. This is one of the last wild rivers in Central Europe. Gina says meandering, braided. Well, Miss Dalton, you are right. Your class is right. This is a braided river. And now I will show you another river. This is the Amazon River. So is this meandering? Is it straight? Or is it braided? I know you know the answer. Shout out the answer or write it down in the chat. Feel free to do that. Oh yeah, why I'm doing this, you know the answers. You are so right. This is a meandering river. You see the serpent, the snake-like form of the river. This is a very characteristic shape, and it's like a huge water snake that flows through the Amazon. The Amazon is actually also a sacred river for the local tribes in the forest. And this river, is this a straight channel? Is this a meandering or a braided river? Let me know. I see my trick worked. This is not a straight channel. This is an artificial channel. This is, of course, straightened, and sadly, we cannot talk about it like a straight river because it's artificial and it was channelized by humans. So this has, of course, it has a straight shape, but made by humans, meaning that the ecosystem has been affected and being harmed, and that's really sad. But now we have here the straight river. This is the canyon of the Blight River in South Africa, which is a very beautiful straight channel river. As you may see, has these big walls to the side. So you all were right. Thank you for also being part of the game. Now, something important to have in mind. Rivers are also places where oxygen is very important. I know we all know about the importance of oxygen. We breathe it every day, but there's something important to remember. Also, fishes and other aquatic animals breathe. For example, fishes use their gills to breathe underwater. And also, oxygen comes into water. How? Waterfalls, rapids, white water. These are the places where the water gets oxygen from the atmosphere, and then this oxygen can be taken by the species that live in the river. So remember that. And also, just for you to know, did you know that colder waters have more oxygen? And there are studies that say that water with more oxygen levels tastes better. So remember that. Colder water, of course, not chilly water, or else you will freeze your tummy, but colder water may have more oxygen and normally tastes more tasteful. So if you go into mountains, be careful, but you may drink from the creeks that you know are healthy creeks, and you may find really tasty cold water full of oxygen. So now we go to our river neighbor. Our neighbors in the river are many non-human species. I will tell you now some of the species that I live with. Not all of these. These are some examples. You can see a hippopotamus here. He has a mean look. Maybe he ate, or they ate the photographer after the picture, who knows? Maybe he was nearby. A jaguarate in the middle, which is a huge tiger in the Amazon that doesn't live by the river or in the river, but you can see that some cats actually can swim. And the crocodiles that maybe some of you that are near the swamps in Florida of the Everglades have seen there lurking between the grasslands. So these are the animals that are from my territory. You may see here the river otter. The river otter to the right up. You also can see the river dolphin to the left. And I know you know which one is down to the right. So let me know, which one is the creature that is in the water there in that picture? Just shout out. I know this one is very charismatic, and we all love that species. Very hairy. Exactly, Mr. Ibarra's class. This is a beaver, and they are so beautiful, right? They tiny tails and their tiny palms, and also they are huge engineers. They can make these big structures, these reservoirs that are natural, made by these beavers. So these are some of the nice species you can see in the river. My favorite one is the river otter. Which is your favorite of all of these river species? Let me know. Write it down in the chat. Now I will tell you some cool birds. These are the different birds that actually live in my own river. Left down, you can see the kingfisher. It's a master in catching fishes. And up in the right, you may see the torrent duck. They are the best kayakers. We say when we kayak, don't go where the torrent duck doesn't go, because they are the best and most skillful kayakers. They're amazing kayakers. And down at the right is the night heron. Those are called like that because they go out to hunt in the night. And they make some really, really beautiful and mysterious screeches at night. They sing at night in a way that I cannot repeat. I'm not good at repeating the sound, but in Chile, they are called the garza bruja, which means the witch egret. They are very mysterious birds. Which one of these three is your favorite? Let me know. I know the Torrent ducks are very charismatic. You should see some of them in action. And these are my favorite insects. These are the caddisflies. They're really skillful craftsmen that live in the water when they are larvae, and they are able to join together the tiny grains of sand that are in the river, or tiny branches, or anything that is floating in the river, and they put this together with the silk that they produce in their mouth. And then you may see as a result these beautiful cases of rock, like the upper one to the right, that's a caddisfly in its lair, in its little structure house that they made. To the left, you may see the different structures made by them. And down to the right, that's a house of gold made by a caddisfly helped by an artisan. There was this water tank where the artisan put tiny fragments of gold and pearls, and the caddisfly put them together into a gold house. That's a really fancy house to live in, right? So these are really beautiful insects that live in the river nearby. And of course, the plants are very important for river as well. There are so many plants, willows, blackwood, elder, all of these plants are very important for the rivers because they stabilize the river channel. Just to let you know, the Amazon River and its beautiful meandering wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for all the plants that are stabilizing the riverbanks. You may ask me more about that next. And this particular picture is of freshwater mangroves that are here in my own home. Those are called Pitrantos, and they are considered guardians of the water, los guardianes del agua. Why? Because these trees, this group of trees are able to maintain, to keep the water in a place so that in winter, when it rains, all the water comes in this place and we don't have floodings. And then in summer, slowly gives this water to the earth, the fishes, the birds, and the people. So they are, in a way, the guardians of the water. And of course, fishes are very important. Salmon, it's a very good example of a fish that is not only important for an ecosystem, but I bet some of you know this. These fishes are sacred for the First Nations, for some of the First Nations in the United States. They're very important fishes for the livelihoods of the tribes. So I bet some of you know about this, and if you don't know much, you may ask your friends. For sure, you have some friends that are members of the tribes, and I would like also to honor their sacred relationship with the fishes. Now we come to relationship with humans and rivers. Of course, there are many ways we relate to rivers that are good and we need them. For example, fresh water, drinking water. We also use them for boating, for kayaking, for swimming. Also, it's so important for agriculture. So rivers sustain our life, our cities, and our food. Our food comes from the water. The water that feeds our food comes from rivers. But sadly, there are also harmful relations to rivers. For example, hydro dams. Imagine you have a vein that is cut. The river is a vein in your body that brings the water all around the world. So it brings water and nutrients from one organ to the other. Sadly, when you put a dam, you destroy this relationship. It's like cutting veins. So when you construct an hydro project, you are cutting the veins of the world, the rivers. Also, sadly, when we use pesticides, they come then into fresh water and they affect the ecosystem. And then also, when we drink the water of the river with pesticides, it affects ourselves. I have seen all the harm done to the rivers. When I kayak, I have seen the pollution of the industries, the chemicals poured into water, the extraction of sand and gravel and silt, and also the impact of the dam construction. This is a huge dam. You can see the tiny kayak down to the left. This huge dam, sadly, it's in my own river. That's very sad, but my own river has been affected and harmed by humans. We have constructed 3 huge dams that have been destroying the sacred river for Pehuenche, the river that sustains life in my watershed. And that has made me sad. I have seen this destruction. I have seen the way these dams have altered the river ecosystem, how the species are less and less year after year. And this has made me sad, but has also moved me to action. And that's the reason we organize what's called the Home River BioBlitz. This BioBlitz is when people come together. You don't have to be a scientist, you have to love nature. And you all go out in nature and you monitor, you register all the biodiversity you see. We use the smartphone app called iNaturalist, and all around the world, you may see all these dots are different people coming together in their own rivers, in the United States, in Canada, in Chile, in Argentina, in South Africa, Rwanda, in Europe, we have Italy, England, also Indonesia, in Asia, also India, Thailand. People all around the world for one weekend come together and they go out and they explore their home rivers. You see also children like you. We call this the riverlings. Small people, big people, all shapes and colors coming together all around the world to celebrate the rivers and their local biodiversity. Imagine yourself, you may be part of this next year if you want to go with your teachers. This is a huge opportunity to get involved for river conservation and to protect what we love, because that's why I do. I protect what I know and what I love. I work with love as one of my first motivations, my love for rivers, and I also relate to these rivers in more than a practical way. I believe the Biobio River, the Futalufu, is part of my family. I don't see it as an object. I don't see it as something I may just use for my own means. For me, it's a relationship with a sibling, with a parent. I take care of the river and the river takes care of me. So I invite you all to take care of your own rivers and rethink your relationship with them. You are all invited to Chile whenever you want. You are welcome here to join us in river festivals to celebrate nature and rivers and protect and fight for our rivers in the country. But I also would like to invite you all to explore your own home rivers, your home nature, lakes, wetlands, forests, and see that you are not alone in these places. This planet is not only for humans, it's a planet full of life, and we share that with other beings. So let's go out, explore, and take care of all the other beings all around the world.
Wow.
Thank you, Riverlings.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Jens, for an incredible look into your work and into why conserving rivers is just so important. I bet many of our viewers are interested in joining your mission. So could you let us know how we can support your work in our communities?
Thank you, Vivek. Of course, I think it's so important to go out and explore your own communities, like I said. Many people would say, just say fresh water, recycle, and stuff like that, which is important. But my message is to you to explore. I bet many of you have some parks nearby, maybe, or maybe a river or a wetland. You may go out with your parents or with your peers or with your teachers and understand the names of the species that live with you. And when you understand their names, when you learn the names and you get to know these other species, then you start caring and loving these places, and then this place will tell you how to take care of it.
Thank you again to Jens for being with us today and sharing your river with us. And thank you to all of the students and teachers watching. We hope you join many more of our events. We'll be right back here next Thursday, October 13th, joined by explorer Enrique Lomnitz, an industrial designer who focuses on water access and sustainability. And join us next Wednesday, October 12th, for the third event in our special series, Live from the Nautilus. We'll be joined by the microplastics team led by National Geographic Explorer Rachel Miller to learn all about their work mapping microplastics and microfibers in the water using techniques from marine and forensic science. Teachers, remember, register for more than one event in this series for a chance to win a special prize for your classroom. Register for this event and more at natgeoed.org/explorer classroom. You can request a chance to be featured on screen with us during the registration process. Fellow teachers, we've also created a new interactive guide for you to share with your students to take them on a learning journey with each of our special guests. Find the Explorer Mindset in Action Guide and Teacher Edition linked on each event registration page. Have a great day, everyone. Stay curious and remember to keep exploring. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.